This is the O-Review podcast. O-Review.
All right, Prism. We've seen Prism for a few years now, and it's basically Oakley's next step to keep their lens competitive. The patent for HDO, where they taper the lens to make sure it's optically perfect, that unfortunately is sort of falling into, not public domain, but a lot of other places are starting to copy it now. I think the patent maybe have lapsed or something like that. But a lot of the third-party lenses are adding that technology, thus making them almost similar to what you get through a native Oakley lens. So this is sort of Oakley's way to kind of make things a little bit more specific to just them, something that no one else can copy. So the first thing we saw some goggle lenses and we saw some performance prism lenses. The performance ones and glasses were very specific to a sport. You would use that lens for that activity. So we had Prism Road for cycling, Prism Trail, possibly for some off-road or jogging. We had Prism Infield and Outfield, which then later merged into just Prism Field. And then we also had Prism Golf. And then also a few angling specific ones like Prism Deepwater, Saltwater, and Maritime Prism. So those are all very specific to just those specific activities. And they also only came with a very specific iridium. So we had positive red iridium for like the Prism Road. We had torch iridium for the Prism Field. And then we had a few other ones that didn't really have a name. Like I know the Prism Deepwater has a really nice slate blue iridium to it. But I don't think it's ever been used on anything else, so I don't really know if it has a name or not. But really, it was the base lens tint that made all the difference with Prism. With the goggles, they kind of went in a different route. They basically used Prism Rose as a base tint, and then they would put all the other iridiums over it. So we started getting some more natural names, like Prism Rose was the non-iridium, Prism Black Snow, and Prism Torch Snow, Jade Snow, and Sapphire Snow. They were assumed to have the base rose tint to it, but they just called them the iridium name plus Prism Snow, and then you sort of knew what actually formed. With the glasses, you didn't have that. You just had basically a prism and then activity name, and they would have varying iridiums, varying bases, and you just sort of had to know what made the parts of it. We did have, on the standard issue side, we have the Target Red series, which was sort of the very first prisms. And we had TR22, TR45, which stood for the percentage of light they could get through. And those were more of like a reddish tint. They almost replaced like the VR line. But we started seeing a TR45 titanium iridium and then a TR22 black iridium. So they started naming them almost like the VR28s were named, where you had the base and then the iridium, and then that became the actual name of the lens. But that was a little bit easier because the TR stood for what the base was, and then there wasn't any iridium when it first came out. So when they added iridium coatings onto it, the name just sort of flowed. But what we're going to start seeing, right now it's fall 2016, and we just saw a couple days ago the Prism Black collection. And what Prism Black Iridium is sort of what they're calling Prizm Universal as a base. So Prism Daily Polarized is basically a universal prism. It's a lifestyle one. It tweaks a little bit of colors, but not so much that it's going to be really color shifting all that much. And as such, it wouldn't really be inappropriate for any other activity. It's going to be more of a daily use lens, as Prism Daily would infer. So what we see now is a Prism Universal, and then we're going to start adding the iridiums on top of it. So Prism Black Iridium is basically going to be Prism Universal with a black iridium coating, and it's going to be called Prism Black. Prism Rose with black iridium is going to be Prism Snow Black. So we'll have a few different differentiations there. The goggles will probably not say snow as often. They might just say Prism Black Iridium, and you'll have to infer that it has the rose base. But for the Prism Snow Sunglass Collection, which is like a radar and a jawbreaker, those have very specific snow bases to them. And then also with these, since these were classified as goggles, but they kind of cross over into sunglass, these very specifically say that they have the Prism Snow on it. Starting next year, we're going to start seeing a Prism Jade, a Prism Sapphire, and a Prism Torch, where they all start to move over to that Prism Universal base. And then we'll start seeing a lot more after that. Only thing I don't know at this point is what's going to happen to bronze. So you have bronze, and then if you have the gold iridium, you have gold. You also have titanium, tungsten, and fire. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen to those. They might have some sort of high contrast Prizm Universal, or maybe they'll call it something else, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that. But anything that has a current gray base is going to be replaced with a Prizm Universal base. So it's going to be a slight color tweak, but then it's going to be pretty much the same lens that you're already going to see. I'm not sure if they're going to take the existing colorways and just put that lenses in it and keep the same SKUs, or if they're going to sort of have a line in the sand where they have, moving forward, all different SKU numbers for glasses. I'm not sure how that's going to work at this point, but they are really tending to phase out that whole gray base color. So that's pretty much what's going to happen in the future. So really, probably starting mid next year, we're not going to see any normal lenses anymore. Everything is going to be Prism, whether it's a lifestyle, a performance piece, or a goggle. So it should be interesting. I definitely want to check those out in the future. I might pick up one of those Prism black ones. I wish they didn't all just have black frames, because it does tend to be a little bit boring, but I'll definitely at least check them out in the store and see what it's all about. So hopefully that little tidbit's useful, and I'll catch you later. Thanks.